Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea. You know that. I know that. I am just a lady with a camera, a bulldog, and too many opinions. And today, I have a lot of opinions. That's nothing new. And today we're going to be talking about RawBeautyKristi and her video that she posted last week addressing all the rumors.
Or do you believe me now? You don't.
Now, there's a lot that we're going over in this video. So buckle up, Buttercup, get ready. Also, at the end of this video, I will be including a Wig'em cam because the topics that we're talking about in this video, like, yes, some are fascinating, some are disheartening, a lot of it's disappointing and stuff like that. And I just feel like I would want to see like a little ASMR Wig'em cam moment at the end of the video. So, you know, if I want to see it, you get to see it, okay? So last week, Kristi of the YouTube channel Kristi posted a video to her YouTube channel titled "Finally Addressing the Rumors." And the description box says, "I am addressing it once and for all." Now, I've watched this video twice, 3 times now. And after I watched it the first time, I feel like I was watching it from the lens of, you know, just being a creator and kind of forgetting exactly what I said in my video a year ago, or more than a year ago at this point, but my video about her and all of these allegations. And that's true. After I film a video, literally last week, any of those videos, I couldn't quote one thing out of those videos. I could not tell you. So a video that was over a year ago? Girl, I don't know what the hell I said. I definitely stand by it still, most likely. So I rewatched that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But in Kristi's video, she discusses how there had been a lot of allegations and accusations against her. Primarily, it was all over the internet, but primarily coming from multiple different pages on Reddit. And those rumors were including but not limited to her being alt-right, transphobic, anti-gay, and there's a lot more that personally I think that she purposely left out of her addressing the rumors video, but we'll get into that in a bit. Basically all the antis and the phobics. Now, my video that I posted on this entire situation, not the one you're watching right now, the original one, was last year, July 18th. So it's been a little bit over a year, but since then, just now, this past Friday, 3 days ago, that's when Kristi first addressed any of it. Now, I covered it. Peter Mon covered it. I believe the Do We Know Them podcast covered it as well. And even though all of those people covered it and there were multiple articles written about it, Kristi still stayed silent. And in my opinion, that caused accusations and more rumors and things like that to really spiral out of control. That silence in itself was quite deafening. And as someone who, and Peter Mon even said this too in one of his recent videos, as someone who is a queer woman and has also, you know, dealt with not those specific types of allegations and rumors and stuff like that, but other ones, and being a content creator too, and being someone who really loved Kristi's entire persona on the internet and her career and respected the shit of her and honestly really looked up to her, the silence was not only deafening, but very, very disappointing. Very disappointing.
We live in a climate right now that if it's surprising to anybody that LGBTQIA plus people are concerned for their rights and their well-being, and you see somebody that you love online, that you thought that your ideology lined up with them and that they were an ally and they supported you, then it's troublesome for you. You feel like, I don't know that I can continue to support this person anymore.
So instead of addressing really any valid criticism, in my opinion, in her new video, and instead of addressing the root of those rumors and things like that, she focused really only on the anti-trans rhetoric and those allegations, it seemed like. And I do have a theory on that, and we'll go over that later. And then she mostly dismisses people as crazy or stupid or losers or things like that for believing those rumors. And again, the entire vibe of the video was hyperbolic, sarcastic, facetious, and, you know, kind of like laughing off these seemingly ridiculous accusations. And don't get me wrong, some of them are, of course. But again, I think they got to that point because she was silent and handled it so horribly then and so horribly now.
Hello, I'm a reporter working on a piece about conservative social media content aimed at women and girls. I am focusing on how various beauty YouTube influencers have become associated with what some people would call alt-right pipelines, content that falls into an algorithmic pathway that can lead to more extreme conservative views. Kristi is mentioned as one example of a beauty guru who has been scrutinized for posting so-called crunchy content about things like homeschooling and homesteading, two genres that extremism researchers have identified as potential entry points to alt-right pipelines. It also notes that online sleuths linked an anti-public school, religious, fundamentalist mission statement to the homeschooling co-op Kristi shared content about. Please let me know if you have any questions. I have so many questions. Picture this. I'm at a 4th of July parade. I'm having fun with my kid. We're walking. We're throwing candy. He has a little bit of a fit because candy's over with. A few days later, I get a DM from a subscriber and she's like, hey, you're being canceled. And I'm like, oh my God. Again? And so I go and look up what I'm being canceled for, and lo and behold, I am now the president, the CEO, if you will, of an alt-right, anti-LGBTQ, Proud Boy Nazi homeschool cult. And I didn't even have to apply. I just became CEO for things I wasn't even aware of. It was a time to be me, to be criticized on podcasts, drama channels, TikTok, of being a right-wing fundamentalist Christian anti-LGBTQ homeschool cult leader. What happened was the homeschool co-op that was walking in the parade, apparently one of the moms had a sign of an organization that I apparently run, that I had never heard of, called Don't Mess With Our Kids. And she was walking in front of the parade. We were walking in the back. And that's how it happened. That's the moment. That's the moment I became a transphobic cult leader.
So like I said, when I first watched her video, I was really looking at it through the lens of I'm a creator too. I've had crazy, I mean, not even crazy, but like just false information shared about me and people who are believing certain things. And it's like, that's not accurate. I don't know how to prove to you that it's not though. So like, whatever, I guess. It just, I can say it over and over again, and that's what I will do. And then obviously, I mean, be an advocate for certain things and, you know, have my character, you know, directly contradict those claims. We'll get into that again later. But I think the first time I was watching her video, I was really looking through it of the lens of I'm a content creator as well. I, you know, have dealt with this bullshit too, right? But then the second time I watched it, because I rewatched my video, because again, I don't remember anything I say ever. So after I watched hers the first time, I was a little jump scared to see that my thumbnail was included in her video when she was talking about people making videos about her and drama channels and stuff like that. I'm not a drama channel. I am a commentary channel. You can have a different opinion, but that is that. And I did think, a little tidbit, I did think it was funny that in her screenshot that she put on the screen of, you know, showing the thumbnail of my video, it had the little red bar at the bottom of it to show that she, you know, at least watched it maybe more than once, I don't know, but watched like the first fourth of my video. And I was like, that wasn't even the part where I got into like the accusations. That was just the part where I showed my dog in a ball pit and then got into like who you are and like my like past experience with you and all that. So like you didn't even get to the part of where I even talked about any of this. If she had only watched it once. Maybe she watched it twice. I don't know. But I was like, damn, a jump scare. I don't remember what I said in my video. And I don't remember spreading like false information or being like, she's a transphobe. That's not something I would do anyways. So I was like, all right, let me rewatch my video. So I did. And I have a little synopsis, and I mean, maybe y'all remember, maybe you've watched it again, but I do have, you know, a little synopsis here and some direct quotes from my video. And since I was smart enough to put timestamps, we will insert, you know, some of them as well. But for instance, like I said, starts out with my intro, me apologizing for Wiggum's snores. Then I show him in the ball pit. Delightful. But I do give a disclaimer where, as I do with a lot of my videos, but since this was going to be a very divisive topic, I did want to give, you know, that disclaimer multiple times throughout the video. And I did. And I said, this is all just opinions. It's okay if we don't agree. It's okay if we have different opinions, if our thought processes differ. And if you like somebody's content still after I make a video about them, that's okay too, which I always want to make that clear. I don't care who you watch. That's fine. Go for it. We don't have to like the same people. We don't have to enjoy the same content. It's okay. But of course, I always just say, I'm putting this information out there. If I got to see it, you got to see it. That's the rules. I don't make them. So today we have a lot of opinions. And of course, these are all just opinions. I'm not stating any of this as a fact. And it's okay if our opinions differ, if we don't have the same thought processes, if you still like someone's content after I make a video about them. I'm just putting out all this information that I have seen across the interwebs and showing it to you, because if I see it and think about it, You have to see it and think about it. Those are the rules. I don't make up the rules. So then I went on to go over who RawBeautyKristi is, certain things during her career, how her channel really took off after she did like a little magnifier microscope camera type of thing, a video about Jaclyn Hill's lipsticks and that whole drama and all that. And that video was hilarious. Sorry, Jaclyn. Amazing, hilarious. Like, it did so well. And because she obviously, is a colleague of Jaclyn, she's someone who's, gonna call stuff out too at times. And so I went over that, her content, my history with her. I've talked to her like once or twice, but also how I had texted her about this. And I did again. She might have changed her number. Who knows? Millennials typically don't change their phone number though. But how I texted her then, didn't get a response. How I sent an email, didn't get a response. And again, like I said, even this time too, I texted her. But a point that I want to make is that in that video, around the 7-minute mark, I said something along the lines of, seeing these current accusations, these current allegations about Kristi, they might seem like they're coming from out of nowhere. But if you actually take a step back and look at the full picture, it's actually not that shocking at all that these allegations are there, right? Seeing current allegations regarding Kristi may seem out of nowhere, shocking. You just can't believe it. But then stepping back and looking at the full picture, personally, it's actually not that shocking at all. And then I went over, the parasocial relationship with not only like social media in general and her platform over the years, but then also with her fans and asking like health questions and medical questions to her audience, and also posting things that are medical misinformation or anti-medicine, and then also like conspiracy theory type of stuff. Very much so like chemical free type of things where it's like, ma'am, water's a chemical. So let's just say that future me was happy to see that that was really what I focused on in my video. And that was really the premise of it. When you add in the potential or alleged anti-medicine rhetoric, and then you also add in the fact that her sister started a Christian co-op homeschooling school, and the video that they posted when they started the school, it's like, if you wanted your kid to go to, and I was thinking about this morning when I was watering my plants. I was like, okay, so you want your kid to go to a Christian school, right? Or you want them to have like God incorporated somehow into a Christian school. Okay, send your kid to a private Christian school. Like they have those up there too, right? In Washington. Just send them there. But still at those private schools, to be able to go to them, you would have to be vaccinated. So what's a workaround for that? I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that was my thought process. It's been shown multiple times that Kristi's dad is allegedly a full-blown QAnon person who doesn't have a crazy boomer parent, right? But then also that paired with her sister starting a Christian school, and then her son going to that school, and then that school attending a parade in their local area and holding signs saying like, leave our kids alone. Like, what do you think that rhetoric and that sentiment is regarding? What do you think it's regarding? And then also something that I mentioned too is that allegedly, her dad is a like QAnon type of conspiracy theorist person. And I even mentioned in that video, I was like, who doesn't have a like an embarrassing boomer parent or family member like that? Like, same girl. Not to that extent, but like, I don't think that you should be, and I've said this in that video too, like you shouldn't be held responsible, accountable, things like that, of beliefs of people in like your family or, that's because it's not, as long as it's not yours, it's anyways. And a specific point that I actually made, which I still stand by this, that I actually made in that video last year, was how some people were saying like, oh, well, she was liking these posts or that post from like this person or that person. And again, as someone who has been accused of, I keep saying certain things, but of, being like an alt-right MAGA ICE collaborator or some bullshit, which is not true. See how easy that is to just squash that? However, just because, you're like liking a picture or a post or something of someone doesn't mean that, even if it is a political figure, even if it is an influencer or someone controversial or something like that, that doesn't mean that you necessarily agree with everything they stand for, everything they try to get past, or everything they do or say. That is like so black and white thinking. That's unhinged. No. So I do just want to say that too, but I think it's so interesting that, she showed my thumbnail on her video, but then it's like, girl, you included that, but then did you even watch my video? Because mine wasn't calling you transphobic. Mine wasn't saying that you're the head of a cult, which you wouldn't be like a YouTuber, I would think, if you did that. Also, you've talked about how you have like social anxiety and don't want to leave your house. I don't think that you would even start a cult. Anyways, it's just fascinating that I, brought all these points, and my point of the video was when you see all of these things together, it's not just that someone across the street from you was holding a sign that like is the slogan for an anti-trans organization, but it's all of the other things that I listed, and then also the history of spreading, false information or medical misinformation or conspiracy theorist type of stuff, and how she was liking and seemingly supporting James Charles still after everything that we know about him now. Yucky. And then also in that video too, I said basically like explaining blanket statements, right? Because she kind of touched this on her video too. I was basically saying that like just because you are a registered Republican, or just because you vote a certain way, or you are Christian, or you do homesteading, or you do homeschooling, doesn't mean that you fit into this box of, okay, well, you do those things, great, now you're also anti-trans, anti-gay, like anti-women's reproductive health care and things like that, right? So to think like that as well, it's so illogical and just silly. But then also on the flip side of that too, just because you are gay doesn't mean that you support trans rights, or just because you are a doctor doesn't mean that you aren't anti-vax. Or let's say hypothetically, really pulling this one out of nowhere, I can't relate to it at all, just because you have a spouse that is in law enforcement and you both own multiple firearms and do so very responsibly, doesn't mean that you are on the side of thinking that there shouldn't be absolutely much more regulations in place, and that we like really need more. I know the phrase gun control scares people, but we need much stricter regulations surrounding that so that we can like not have school shootings, maybe. Crazy thought, I know. So it really is a spectrum. Not everyone fits into a box, and I completely understand that, and I said that in my video. I'm not making these blanket statements of like everyone who is Republican or more conservative or Christian is hateful and homophobic or transphobic or just anti-queer or ignorant, anything like that. I consider myself a Christian. I also am not going to force that on my child. I don't force that on anybody. That's a relationship between me and this ominous being that I pray to. So that's nobody's business. So to paint people, and keep in mind, she didn't say my name specifically. And I don't know if she said my name in the comments of her video. I tried to search my name on there, but I couldn't find anything. I know that she did specifically name Peter Mon in the comments, but she didn't name him in the video. And then also she did name Do We Know Them in the live chat as well. So I would assume if she's naming them, she would have named me too. I don't know. She didn't name Rich Lux, and he made a bunch of videos about her, and he even texted me and was like, girl, I'm about to make a video about how I'm upset that I got excluded. He's such a goblin in the worst and best way.
RawBeautyKristi released a video last night. The video is currently sitting at 38,000 views. It is called Finally Addressing the Rumors. In the description box, she says, I am addressing it once and for all. People were direct messaging it, sending it to me, asking me, they wanted to see my reaction to it. They were telling me that Kristi referenced me in the video, but she didn't call me out by name. And then I start reading the comments, and Kristi is directly talking about me in the comments. She mentions my name. People are saying my name a lot. My name is a lot in the comment sections of her videos. I was like, this feels rather personal to me. She leads this with talking about this magazine article that's being written about her, about being down this right all crunch pipeline, okay? Which really, in all honesty, has very little to do with the anti-trans thing. It has to do with Kristi talking about medical conspiracies through the years on her channel. That's when people started side-eyeing her. She makes it, the whole video is all about this anti-trans thing. Kristi reached out to me. Here, let's read it again, since I apparently got her on a phone call, which is what Kristi said in the video. A drama channel got her on the phone call and twisted and turned everything that I said around here. September 4th, 2023, 5:13 p.m. Hey, Peter. Is there any way we could chat? I can either message here if you prefer or FaceTime phone call you if you are available too. Yeah, we can just talk on the phone, and I gave her my phone number. Sure, can I call now or are you available at a specific time? Who's trying to get her on the phone, okay? Not me. She's trying to get me on the phone. And this is how the phone call went. She brought up the video that I made. She said she didn't know what to do about it. I said, well, she's like, you're in the business of, you know how to handle these situations. Okay, now I'm an evil drama channel that has turned and manipulated these things and twisted them around. But her, like Gabby Hanna in the past, like Jeffree Star in the past, have reached out to drama channels specifically because we know how to handle these situations, okay? Which is beyond. And I said something to her to the effect of, I would just come out and own it and explain it, Kristi. That's all your audience wants to hear. She told me that she had met him at this conference years ago. She didn't talk to him. She had messaged him a few times, that she had been going through a lot of stuff recently, so she didn't keep up with anything, and that she didn't know what was really going on. She'd seen something about Tottie's video, but she didn't really know what was going on with that. She didn't know all the scandals that James Charles had been in. At the time on the phone, I kind of was like, how could she possibly not? She's talking about Colleen Ballinger in a video. How could she not know what was going on with James Charles? That was how she painted it to me, that she didn't know anything about it. And I said, well, just say that in your video. She goes, she goes, okay, I'm going to come out and I'm going to address it. She goes, I don't want it to look performative if I just unfollow him. I said, Kristi, I don't know how I can twist this. I was completely honest with her. I said, it's going to look performative either way.
But that's the thing is that, okay, so did you actually watch my video or Peter Mon's video originally? Apparently she did, but then you're picking and choosing the like most ridiculous accusations, in my opinion, to make it seem like it's just crazy people on Reddit, when it's like, well, no, actually a lot of your not only colleagues, but people you've interacted with before, people who have shown you support before and who are queer or gay or bisexual, many of them are very disappointed in you and were and still are very disappointed not only with your silence, but then how you're handling it now. I mean, my WhatsApp and my DMs have been going crazy with other people reaching out to me and being like, I don't like that. Now that was a super smooth transition. I have not seen you in so long. It's Uncle Reggie. I don't know if you could tell because my mullet's growing out. There's something else you probably don't know either, and that is that the internet is trying to get inside your brain and tell you what to think, and that's not okay. But more than half of Americans are getting their information, their news, from the social medias. According to that Reuters Institute, people no longer trust institutions, they trust personalities. Well, I'm a personality, and I trust ground news. But listen, I get it. The institutions have failed us in so many ways. But instead of just wanting them to do better, what do? Turn to that Joe Rogan fella? Just look at these headlines. His 2024 interview with Donald Trump was literally credited for winning him that their election. People have no idea they being influenced when they think they're being informed. Now that's why Ground News is my go-to platform for the news, to be able to compare these stories, the headlines, the truth, the biases, the fact check. And why I love that Chelsea put them on their channel. She got me set up with that Vantage plan. And let me tell you one more thing. I just, nothing?
Get back under the desk.
Okay, I'm sorry. Think about what I said. Think about it. I'm so sorry, guys. He told you about Ground News? Okay, I guess I'll at least just keep telling you about it. I don't know. So Ground News has obviously helped me with that guy, clearly, but I definitely do love knowing where information that I'm reading is coming from. I always say consider the source, and obviously I do mean that, not literally sometimes. I do be hyperbolic. But obviously, I mean that literally too. If you don't know where your information is coming from and just believe it willy-nilly and not understand biases and things like that and who's profiting and benefiting from you believing certain information, you're just going to end up looking silly. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be educated and know all sides of everything, okay? Even if you don't agree with it. Ground News was founded by a female former NASA engineer who saw a much bigger problem here on Earth instead of focusing on, whatever is going on in space or aliens or something like that. And so the only app out there helping you think for yourself and see all sides, gathering articles from thousands of sources around the world, organizing them by story, and then analyzing the political lean, credibility, and even those financial incentives, like I just mentioned, behind each perspective. Y'all know I love when you think critically and logically and all that. You can be silly and goofy too, but when it comes to taking in information, that's obviously more important, okay? Follow your favorite topics, even check out their blind spot feed so you can see, hey, maybe I'm missing a key factor of this topic, of this story. So make sure you go to ground.news/cc or click the link in my description box to sign up for the plan that I use every day and the one that I got Uncle Reggie started with too. And you'll save 40% on their Vantage plan. Like I said, that's the one I use, and that is ground.news/cc. And that knocks down the cost to just $5 a month. Thank you, Ground News, for being a continued continued sponsor of my channel. Thank you to you guys for continuing to support my sponsors. And now back to the video. Now, what Kristi focuses on in this video of addressing rumors is that she says that her sister had started a little co-op, like a little preschool basically. And they did it at a church, but the church was moving buildings. They didn't have a place to go. And I'll have her explain it in a second. So then she was like, hey, why don't you just, use my gazebo or something like that, right? This like beautiful, their property is absolutely gorgeous. I love that for them. Like so pretty. Love that. But she was saying that that's what it was. And she was saying that it, started at a church, but then she was also saying that she didn't start it, which I didn't see that to ever be a question. Maybe people were getting confused, but the valid criticism that was out there, it was that she was hosting it and allowing them to use the space. And it was that her sister had started it. The verbiage and like narrative and like promotional videos and stuff like that the co-op was using was pretty like red flaggy and was giving off like a homeschool Facebook mom, anti-vax, very that. And Kristi says that, well, my son wasn't even at that school. Like he doesn't even go to school. He's 4. First of all, my kid's 2. He's in preschool. But also she had previously said a year and a half ago when he was 2.5, 3, she had posted saying like, when it comes to, enrolling him or, thinking about his education, like, is it normal to like homeschool? Like that's overwhelming. And I even appreciate that she had like said that before. Like, is it normal to like hire a teacher or like, do I have to do the homeschool? Right. So she, talking about that. But then also when someone had asked her, like, are you going to do homeschooling? And she had posted a picture of like her and like short little tiny humans, a class basically. And she was saying like, yes, we're going to do like a co-op homeschool type of thing. So people assuming that your kid goes to the school or will go to it, that's not completely unfounded with the information that you yourself have previously put out there.
I'm going to set the record straight in today's video. I'm going to set the record fully and clearly straight. Let me explain to you first what actually happened so I can set the scene of how this actually went down. My sister was a part of a homeschool co-op, and their little homeschool co-op was doing a float in the parade. A homeschool co-op is basically when a bunch of parents get together and homeschool their kids together. There isn't like a set teacher. There isn't a set type of person that goes to a homeschool co-op. It's just people that want to homeschool their kids, but they don't want to do it alone in their home. So they go to a place and they do it together. So the little homeschool co-op had nowhere to have their schooling because the church was no longer going to be open while they were switching buildings. They had nowhere to go. And my niece was part of the homeschool co-op. And so I was like, well, if you guys can't find a place, if you don't find anywhere that's free, you guys are welcome to use my gazebo. I have a gazebo outside. We've done harvest parties in it. I've had a wedding in it. We do stuff in it all the time. Like it's the place where we host events. They needed a place that was free. Nowhere else was free. So they came to my gazebo and we made it out of like a little forest school. Now, there is a big misconception going around that number one, I was building a school on my property, which is what a lot of people said, that I was building an anti-LGBTQ homeschool. We'll get to that in a minute. That I was the leader of a homeschool. But I need to just say one thing. My kid doesn't go to school yet. He's this many. So it was just me letting my sister use a building for the homeschool co-op.
Now, Kristi says that the reason why she stayed silent about everything, about all these accusations, is because the people who had their kids at this school, I don't know how many it was, let's say 10, seems like that would be the amount. The people who had their kids enrolled with this school and, were on her property or whatever, they were being doxxed. They were being harassed. Like it was just overwhelming and a lot. And she's saying that she didn't speak up because she wanted to like protect them. I'm sorry, but that does not make any sense at all. It really does not make any sense. And she goes further and, talks about how everything had spiraled out of control and gotten worse. And the allegations just like, listen, some of y'all do need to go touch grass, please. Like it's pretty wild. And I mean, and again, looking at it from the lens of I'm a content creator too. I've literally had people call my husband's job because I said something in a TikTok video or a YouTube video. I think it was both. It was both. And there was some confusion on what I said. And they decided that what I did, off camera, was illegal and that they needed to file anonymous complaints with my husband's employer to like try to get us arrested or him fired, or none of that has happened. he's a stellar employee. He's amazing. He's a rule follower through and through and has not done anything illegal or unethical with his job. So way to go. You're wasting your own time. But looking at through that lens, I'm like, okay, like chill the f out. These are private people that, yeah, like if they have shitty beliefs, okay, got it. But what are you doing? You don't know them. They don't know you. Like you trolling them or outing them or doxing them or whatever. Stop. You're being fucking weird. Stop. And obviously that's horrible. Don't do that. We do not support the harassment, doxing, you know, in that, I was about to say in that manner. We don't support doxing at all. We do support being held accountable for your words and actions and, you know, malicious things you do on the internet. But however, this is a completely different situation. Watch, that's going to get clipped out of context and end up on Reddit. It's okay. It's not okay, but whatever.
And you may wonder, well, why didn't you just come out and say it wasn't true if it wasn't true? Because you really let the narrative spin, obviously. Like, you could have just kind of put a pause on it. You could have said, hey, this isn't true. And we would have believed you. Would you? The main reason I didn't respond is because without my response, you guys were being psychotic. The families of the homeschool co-op, who have no idea that I'm a social media influencer, who had no idea that they were coming to the home of a YouTuber who was going to get canceled for being anti-LGBTQ, they were being harassed by you. Their families being contacted by you. Fake homeschool applications being submitted by you. Signing up my sister and some of the other homeschool moms for gender reassignment surgery and having them getting phone calls. Doxing. Reaching out to family members and people that used to know me. The reason I maybe didn't respond until now was because the school is not a thing anymore. And finally, I don't have to really worry about the families being harassed by you anymore. So yeah, the reason I didn't respond was not because I didn't want to clear my name or because any of the allegations are true. It's because the families were unsafe because the internet is a cesspool of psychotic, chronically online, drama-addicted weirdos.
So it's just quite interesting that she's framing it as this way of like, these people are crazy and like, it's your fault. Like, you're insane for believing this. In my opinion, I could be completely wrong, but in my opinion, if she would have just come out and said, hey guys, no, that is not correct. Like, I didn't even know what this sign meant that this child was holding at a parade, like within the same like vicinity of me, and like they were adjacent to me or, you know, like associated with me, whatever, like associated with my sister or something like that, right? And could have literally just said like, I didn't even know that like phrase, what that meant or what it was associated with or like the undertones of it or the meaning behind it. And now I do. Thanks for letting me know. I don't align with those beliefs. That's horrible. All that, right? And I understand, again, not to like make it about me, but as a content creator myself, again, as I've said 40 times in this video, I understand through and through that it's exhausting to have to address something over and over and over and over and over again. But guess what? That's part of our job. And if you've said it one place or two places or whatever, then okay, there's a point where no matter what you say, people aren't going to believe you, and that's fine. But there are so many of her followers and colleagues of hers that were hurt by her silence or, disheartened by her silence. And me being one of them, I was annoyed by it, but also like, well, damn, that sucks. Like, why are you just saying nothing? It takes 2 seconds to put on an Instagram story or put it on your YouTube community tab or like in, 2 or 3 places and just be like, hey guys, these are the allegations. This is not true. I do not align with that. That's it. Like, please stop. And like saying, harassing people associated with my family or something, like that's not okay. It's completely understandable to have people in your family or your, around you that you associate with in your private life, maybe, who don't believe the exact same thing as you, or maybe believe the opposite thing as you. Is it uncomfy at times? Yes. Some people will say, well, you need to disown this person. You need to disown that person. There have been some people who say I need to disown my parents. And I'm like, no. I'm not doing that. I love my parents. We do disagree on a lot of things, but I'm not disowning my parents. And there's other people who were like, she needs to divorce her husband because he's in law enforcement, or he needs to find another job. And it's like, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, what? No. But of course, logical thinkers can understand like, okay, that's a lot. That's pretty unhinged. All right. But saying nothing is so much worse. And then after a year coming out with this video solely because, in my opinion, and what Kristi said herself, that she's trying to get ahead of an article from a very large publication, a very big magazine that is going to be coming out. I'm sorry, who reads magazines? Which also like, okay, it's most likely just the online publication version of it. Okay. But it's like, girl, so you care more about that than like people who are actually like watching your videos. Like the damage there is already done. I definitely do think, and I've had a lot of people who agree with me on this. I think that she was trying to get ahead of this article that's going to be coming out, possibly, it might not, and putting out this video to, try to control the narrative. Because think about it, if someone sees this article written, maybe they go to her YouTube channel and then see finally addressing the rumors. They're like, oh, okay, let me see what she has to say about it. And then the narrative is that it's all these false accusations, people are just being insane on Reddit and blah, blah, blah. And like these people are, harassing these innocent other whatever, right? And it's that narrative of not even focusing on anything else that I would say is pretty valid that, I put in my video or that was in like the mega thread that really started all of this on the subreddit page. And then even more so than that, what Peter Mon had said too, and framing it as like drama channels do this and they just like this and blah, 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 blah. And like they're wrong. And like one of them got me on the phone. And even Peter Mon himself, he released a video, 2 days ago, 1 day ago, where he even said, he was like, one of them got you on the phone. She was talking about him. And he's like, I didn't get you on the phone. You reached out to me and asked how you should handle it. And then we talked. And he did say like, hey, silence is not okay. Like, that's not how you should handle it. Like, that's bad. But then she just continued to be silent about it. But like I said, the whole vibe of calling people horrible, stupid, painting it as like, I didn't do anything wrong. You're wrong. You ran with it, when it's like, Kristi, I hate to tell you this, but, and I don't want to victim blame or whatever, but this outcome and how this all went and how this all played out is quite literally the consequences of your silence. You could have just made a statement. You could have just, and she even said, I made a video back then. I did this, I did that. And it's like, girl, you don't even have to get on video. You could just post a screenshot or something, right? Wild. But like I said in my video back then, and I still stand by now, the signs were there. Even if, hey, those aren't the things that she stands by, right? Even if those are not her beliefs. The slow descent from I'm distrustful of the medical community, I'm gonna homestead, sharing conspiracy theories, to the frogs are making your kids gay or trans. That is a real pipeline that does happen. And in the email that this journalist sent her asking for a statement and outlining what the piece they're working on is, that was beautifully said. And it is true. It has happened many, many, many times. And there weren't necessarily any like glaring accusations toward her in that email. I mean, of course there wouldn't be. That would be very unprofessional and most likely make it to where the person you're asking for a statement would never reply to you. But it's just so interesting that she completely ignored that aspect of my video, I guess, or chose to omit it. And then also chose to omit this concept of that pipeline and multiple different things being key factors that are playing a part in this and making it to where like, oh, well, these accusations could be a little bit more believable, right? I mean, again, not to bring myself into it, but think about it this way too. Like, for instance, I'm married to someone who's in law enforcement, right? I am a white woman. I was previously, I changed it, bitches. I was previously registered as a Republican because I registered when I was 18 years old. I still lived with my parents. I had hardly a thought in my beautiful little brain. And hey, if you're registered as such and vote as such, okay, go off, queen. I don't fit in that box. And I had people literally harass me for it for so long that I was like, you know what? I didn't realize it was this easy to change it. I thought I had to like go down to the Social Security office or like the DMV or some shit. I'm like, I don't want to drive over there. No. But I didn't know you could just do it online. So I was like, hell yeah, brother. And I did it. And it came in the mail super fast. I was like, hell yeah, I love that. But with all those things and being in Florida and being someone, who owns firearms very safely and responsibly, but all those factors and even saying that I, did grow up in a conservative Republican household. Okay. Then if someone's like, well, she's MAGA. I don't blame you for believing that. I mean, if you actually do watch my content, then that's silly. But for someone who like maybe just sees my stuff in passing, then okay, whatever. Obviously, I don't want to be associated with that. So guess what I'm going to do? Because that's a cult. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say it, and it does get exhausting, absolutely. But I'm going to say it as often as I can, periodically, really, that no, that's not who I am. That's not what I believe in. And like, have you ever watched my channel? Like what? And again, yes, it does get exhausting. It sucks, but like that's unfortunately what we got to do sometimes. Okay. And it takes 5 seconds right there. It took me like not even a minute to say that. So I just don't understand why she wouldn't have said it right away and squashed it right away. And she can say all day long, as she said in her video, because the people who are going to believe you are going to believe you. And the people who aren't, doesn't matter what you show them, they're not going to. That's not necessarily true. She could have squashed it right away. And I probably would have been like, oh, okay. There are a lot of people who followed her who would still be following her at this point if she would have just made that clear. But she didn't. And that sucks. And how she handled it then is shitty, in my opinion. And how she's handling it now is not good. Not good. And do I think that she deserved to have, as she has claimed, her sponsors contacted and taken from her? No. Also, don't be doing that. If someone finds out that you are behind that, or rather you are, even if you're not doing it specifically like you are, if you are inciting people to do that, or if you're doing it, if they can track that down through the sponsor of like, hey, who emailed you? That right there can be proof of a loss of wages or monetary damage to be used in a defamation case. Don't be doing that shit. Okay? Or contract interference, whatever it would be. That's dumb. Don't do that. Okay? Stop. So anyways, if all of that harassment did happen, I mean, this was a pretty like large scale situation, so I don't doubt that it did. But do I think that she deserved that harassment? No, but also all of that could have been absolutely stopped. And then to act like all of this came out of nowhere and stemmed from someone across the street from you or like 10 feet away from you holding a sign that you had no idea about, didn't even know what it said, to act like that all stems from that and that it's all just really coming out of nowhere is very disingenuous in my opinion, and a way to control and it might not even be that deep, but in my opinion, I see it as a way to like control that narrative because this mythical huge article is coming out, right? So I think that she, again, in my opinion, I wouldn't even say professional opinion, but my opinion as someone who, you know, works in this industry too, I do think that she was cherry picking, you know, very extreme examples of harassment and bullying and internet behavior in general as a way to discredit the like entire situation and those accusations. And like I said before, even if it's not true, I could understand when, again, you step back and look at the whole picture of the sharing medical misinformation, sharing the like conspiracy things, and having so much medical anxiety and sharing that type of stuff with your audience. And it's a lot. And I could absolutely 100% understand how we, or anyone really, would have come to that conclusion of like believing an accusation like that. So I really do see that as selective accountability that's being dressed up as transparency when it's like, you waited a year to talk about this. It really seems like you're only talking about it to get ahead of this article that's coming out and attempting to control the narrative there. And it's not even damage control. Like I said, it's narrative control on a like proactive and bigger scale. Now, when I covered this a year ago, I did say that staying silent only makes it worse. And a lot of times that's not true. A lot of times things will just breeze by. And in 2 weeks, a month or two, whatever, the news cycle will cycle. Another TikTok drama, another YouTube drama will come about and distract and no one will care, right? And some people did think I was like being very dramatic for saying that the silence is gonna make it way worse. And from how Kristi laid it out, it 100% did make it a lot worse. Because again, it might have still happened, but I don't think that people would have been getting like doxxed and all of the other claims she said happened. I don't think any of that would have happened if she would have just squashed it. And you know, you're saying you care so much about these families and you care so much about these kids, then why would you have not come out and publicly like said, hey, cut it out. Like, this is awful. What you're saying isn't true. Cut it out. Like, this is insane. That would have been way better instead of just staying silent. So not only the way that she is approaching it in the video, I don't like. At first I did, again, from the lens of a creator, it like got me. But then thinking about it more, I was like, wait, actually, no, I don't like how you're talking about this. Because again, I remembered like, wait, that wasn't the only thing I talked about in my video. Like there was a bunch of other shit too leading up to it. And also my video wasn't even about those accusations, really. You're missing the point. It was about this and this and this and this and this and this whole concept of the slow descent into this type of ideology and how that is like dangerous, essentially. But anyways, like I said, don't like the way that she is handling it in the comment section either. It's not good in there. So let's go ahead and read a few of them. So this one says, from someone pretty sure you're guilty by association in those people's eyes for not discommunicating your religious using co-op sister. That makes it sound like her sister's a drug addict. That's not what it meant. It meant that like she's using a co-op. I don't think that was accurate either. So again, it's taking this like the extreme and again cherry picking it. And it's like, no, that's not what it was. And she said, yep, and that's okay. I'll forever be a loving friend and companion to my family, children who need safety and love, and won't let the woke mob dictate who I can and cannot befriend or be kind to. My sister's a good person, not the woke mob. Now, this person said you could have addressed it at the time and laughed it off. No sense in dredging it up after so much time with so much explanation and details, unless it's to stay relevant. And her response was, shut up. No, I couldn't have. Which also, I don't know why she has a colon there. That's not the correct use of a colon. Don't tell me what you think would have worked then. It's not even working for you now. What? What? A very prominent large magazine publication is writing an article about me right now, so it's pretty relevant. Also, just to be clear, I don't think it's about her. It could change, because I mean, that's what happens. For instance, like if I have a deep dive I'm doing and there's like an overarching topic or like sentiment or all that, right? And I have like 4 or 5 examples of like people I want to include in it and different stories and all that. Maybe like one thing evolves with like one of the people that I was going to be covering, and then like that could change like the whole trajectory of like the outline basically, or like the storyline of the video, right? And so that I know that can happen a lot with journalism too. That's such a weird thing to say, because it's like, don't tell me what you think would have worked when it's not even working for you now. That doesn't make any sense. That literally does not make sense. You are in this situation because you handled it this way. And I'm now not saying the fault is not on the Reddit people. Believe me, I fucking hate the people who are in my subreddit too, and who talk shit about me on there too. And there's a difference between sharing opinions, especially less favorable ones and not positive ones. Go off, great, love it. Get your shit out there. Find your people who also don't like other people and make fun of them. Cool, great. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like harassing false shit, right? But like, yes, those people should like probably be held accountable too. Not probably, they should, because like that's unhinged. But if you would have just said it to begin with and not stayed silent, I don't know why I keep doing this, but you wouldn't have been in this situation. So you can't say that this isn't working for you now, because it's not the same situation. Like what already happened, or rather what didn't happen already happened. So this is another thing that she said in her video, what this person is referencing. They said, I can't get over the fact that people went as far as to apply to the co-op, which again, creepy, and signing them up for gender reassignment surgery. Saying that's too far is such an understatement. Absolutely. Yes, that's crazy. And she said, we were absolutely shocked and appalled when they started receiving phone calls from gender clinics to get their insurance information. Like, how low will these psychopaths go? How did they get all of the names of the people that were involved in the co-op and their phone numbers? I mean, if you're like really sleuthing, you could probably somehow get that. Maybe that did happen, and maybe it's just one of those situations where it's like, that sounds so fucking insane and like so unbelievable that like I'm hesitant to believe it, you know? I don't know. Very, very weird. Also, yeah, unhinged. Crazy. Again, don't do that. Probably wouldn't have gotten to that point if she just came out and said, you know. So here's another post. It's the live chat of like comments from Kristi's video. And she was in there and someone said, what podcast spoke about it? And Kristi said, do we know them is one I can think of. And this person on Reddit, and Kristi said in her video as well, the caption on this post though says, RawBeautyKristi uploaded a new video addressing the rumor that she's alt-right from a Reddit post after she went to a 4th of July parade. in the video, she talks about how drama channels and podcasts blew it up, how they were manipulative and make stuff up for views and run with stories without all the facts, etc. She premiered the video with a live chat and responded to a bunch of people where she specifically called out Do We Know Them as being one of the podcasts that talked about it. And then they said, I don't remember them ever mentioning her regarding this controversy. Does anyone know where this episode was? Jesse and Lily of Do We Know Them are quite like well researched when it comes to things. And also, again, after rewatching my video, I didn't spread misinformation. I was very clear on like the premise of my video and discussing the descent into the alt-right pipeline from like the crunchy homesteader type of, pipeline. So that's not me making things up. That's literally me going over like a social construct, like a social observation, right? Like that's not making up things for views. Oh my God, I hate that sentiment so much. Now I'm still going to try to find it, but to my knowledge, Jesse and Lily didn't talk about this situation. They talked about how 2 years ago, so a year before this whole situation, how people were calling out Kristi for liking posts and supporting James Charles and his brand Painted. All while it is, the James Charles of it all, right? And that's when the whole, I don't want to say branding, but the label of like a predator protector was going around of, that's what you would kind of label someone if they were like supporting him, basically, or supporting like someone like that, when it's like, hey, you're essentially a predator to the internet and to like the general public, and people who are, still supporting them and hanging out with them and being friends with them and just like ignoring all of this stuff. It's like, ew, gross. So you're protecting a predator is what people were saying. So Jesse and Lily of Do We Know Them posted a episode on that and basically going over like other people that are still supporting James Charles and how it was after he admitting to sexting minors and just being an overall menace to the world. And Kristi was basically saying like, oh, I didn't know about any of that. And it's like, how did you not? That doesn't make any sense. And don't get me wrong, there are certain situations that like I'm not privy to, or like I don't know the ins and outs or like the details of, but I like know it's a situation or like a feud or that there are these allegations out there, but I'm just like, oh God, I don't have like the time or like emotional capacity or bandwidth or whatever to like really get into all that. So I'm just gonna like let that live over there, There's a difference between that and just being like, I had no idea.
Peter Munn, a fellow drama channel, put out a video of influencers that he was needing to unfollow. He had to like go through and unfollow people who were supporting James Charles. And there was one person on there that people kind of lost their shit because it's someone that nobody has any clue why they would support James Charles. And that is RawBeautyKristi.
I actually don't know very much about her because, as I've said in the past, I'm not super into the makeup community, as you might be able to tell. But I know that people are especially mad. One, she's just normally very unproblematic and people wouldn't expect that from her. But then also that she's very like children.
She is an extremely breath of fresh air in the beauty community, to where she's very like real about the way that she approaches it. Everybody else, it does feel kind of difficult watching people who are like, they'll put like 2 dots of concealer and be like, there's your fresh everyday look. You're like, bitch, I would look haggard as like, it's hard to relate to people that are so perfect, quote unquote. And she's so real about like if something looks like shit or like, I don't know, she's just a really, really honest person. And she's also really funny and very charismatic and very likable. And Peter says he noticed that she was following James Charles for a long time, but he didn't really necessarily associate that directly with like, it's kind of like, I know I don't want to bring it up because you're going to get shit again, but when you follow Donald Trump.
I probably still do.
Okay, so I just went through all of the Do We Know Them episodes from 2024, and I might just be not super smart, but I looked at the timestamps. They always put the like a synopsis of the episode, like what they cover, if there's not the like, well, and the specific timestamps too. So I went through all of those because sometimes they do cover things that aren't actually in the thumbnail or title. So I went through those from when the situation happens, July 4th to further, and I'm not seeing anything where they covered this situation. So that's super interesting that she's like, yeah, they covered it, but I'm not seeing where they did cover it. I really think that the only time that they covered Kristi on their channel was what I previously mentioned in that clip that we showed of them talking about her regarding people still supporting James Charles. Okay, so to continue in her comment section, someone said, you know what? I don't know what the truth is. I really don't. but seeing you lash out at people in the comments by calling them names is really sad. And another person said, what would be the proper way to respond to people being rude to her in her own comment section? Ignore them. Like she's being scrutinized for doing that for the last year and a half. She's had enough. And Kristi responded and said, they've ruined my life. My anger is justified. And another person, which is a great point, said, they who? The people in your comments? I'm genuinely confused. Do you know exactly who did all this? And someone said, people are doxing her family. You got to read between the lines and do your own research because misinformation is how she got here in the first place. We as a society need to be more diligent about not spreading misinformation. I completely agree with that. And this person said, reading between the lines is where bullshit rumors come from. I need facts, which is like, yeah, me too. Like, I don't need to read between the lines. What are you talking about? Another one said, all you had to do was address it. And again, I completely agree with that. And she put like a face, like an annoyed emoji face. And someone said, actually, she didn't. And she still doesn't. You realize saying this is condoning doxing because she could have just cleared it up. No, it's not. I don't agree with doxing. And I firmly believe that she could have addressed it and then potentially the outcome would have been completely different and that those people wouldn't have been doxed and her silence was potentially more damaging to this entire situation. So that right there doesn't mean that you condone doxing. That's a wild thing to say. Do you know how dangerous that is? Do you realize that's how people get their lives taken from them? Hey, bud, what are you talking about? What? Doesn't make any sense. Another person said, okay, so like I had supported you for years, bought all your collabs, defended you during past issues, and always gave you the benefit of the doubt in a time where trans people are in so much danger. All you had to do was say, hey, look, I'm with you. And the longer you stayed silent, the more it felt like confirmation. I wasn't dogpiling. I didn't make a Reddit post. And this is the original commenter. I just felt my heart break and quietly unsubscribed. I'm sure you don't care, but that's how most of the community that you alienated actually feels. And she said, I absolutely care. I care deeply. But I did tell people one-on-one and nobody believed me. So I did what felt best for myself and the kids and let it go. I could have let it go, but I addressed it now and it still makes no difference. I stand with the gay and trans community. It won't be told that I don't. Literally could have. It's weird that she's like, I did one-on-one and it didn't matter what I said. Why did you do that one-on-one? Put the information out there. If people don't like want to accept that, that's going to happen. Then okay. They can base their opinions off of lies. That's very silly, but that's out of your control. But doing it one-on-one seems so weird. You don't need to convince people one-on-one or talk to them one-on-one. That does not make any sense. What? Now this one says, you're mad that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 looked like 5 is actually a really good comment. Look at the individual pieces you had to explain that all contributed to painting a full picture. It starts to sound ridiculous, and the reason you couldn't speak up earlier honestly makes no sense. I completely agree. It would have been so easy to dispel it because discourse grew and grew and grew from the silence. And besides that, I very much so recall the events you describe playing out differently. For example, you spoke about God talking to you and you wanting to build a school because of the perverse education system. And you liked the photo that showed you walking next to the woman with the sign. That acts as an endorsement and definitely gives the sense you support on top of all of the other piles of things mentioned. Peter Mon never changed his story, but you changed yours around a lot. I do agree with that. That was gross to throw him under the bus. Ooh, that was gross to throw him under the bus that you built. You're extremely angry, but you have no one to blame but yourself. And even now, you seem to be unable to be honest about it. Or you'd actually address all of it. Just own it. We saw it. We remember it. You seemingly believed it. And you're not even honest about the things people saw and took issue with. This was a huge miss. I think that was very, very eloquent, very well said. Holy crap, beautiful. I feel like that's what I've been trying to say this entire video. And again, I don't want to say like, so she's not to blame or responsible for people being crazy and doxing and contacting whoever and whatever in those actions. Absolutely not. She's not responsible for that and she's not to blame for that, right? However, in my opinion, she could have prevented this from happening to a certain degree. And I don't think that it would have been this bad if she would have, again, just addressed it. But also if she would have just addressed it, I don't think, because she claims that she lost like all of her sponsors or something. I don't think she would have lost those sponsors if she just like put out that statement. But you being silent about it and that controversy continuing due to your silence and growing due to your silence, that obviously looks bad to a brand, right? Like the brands that we work with, the brands that I work with and that like my management has, you know, curated for my channel and the ones that we work with, all that, they understand that there's going to be crazy accusations and allegations, and not even crazy ones, even just like mediocre ones about anyone they work with. But if you like dispel those things and don't let it get out of control, then like, I don't think that they would have like canceled her. It's so weird. So weird. So this person said, you may think that you're not this person, but what people are doing is pointing out that you're slowly getting there. Bingo. And we're concerned. I can read it in the way that you're replying to comments. I hope that you come back to us. Oh, my heart. Yeah. As we age, obviously, and as, you know, you go further into a career and just living in general, right? That like societal stress that just life happens upon you. We grow, we change, all that. And a lot of times after having a kid, like I don't want to say I'm very different after having a kid, but you having a child like literally changes your DNA and like who you are. I don't know. It changes your brain chemistry and all that. And a lot of people have said like, no, after having a kid, like she's weird. And I wouldn't say weird. I would just say that she has changed. And that's not to say like it's bad or good, but I don't know. It's just like, I don't think you at your core change when you have a kid. I don't know. I think that you're like at your core, you're the same. So maybe it's just that we now are realizing who she is. I don't know. It's sad. I used to love her content. Like it was my favorite. Like Jessie from Do We Know Them said, she was a breath of fresh air in the beauty community. So Kristi responded to that one and said, nope, you guys have done nothing but push me further away from ever wanting to be associated with any political party. I feel sick. Again, it really feel like she's stuck on the like cherry picking stuff, you know? So someone said, so tell me this, are you truly trying to listen? Because this person's response seems very kind and trying to have you look inward, and your response just immediately shuts her down. Another one said, all her responses have been wicked nasty. So much for trying to clear the air and show us how accepting she is. Another one said, hey, so I'm actually an independent, and MAGA and alt-right aren't political parties. It's about human rights. And I completely agree with that. It's that spectrum. It's that ideology. It's like the cult of it all. And they're right. Like I said, she's cherry picking. This entire conversation doesn't even have to do with like a political party, right? A political affiliation, but it has everything to do with that ideology and that belief system. And these, you know, tiny things here and there, well, not really seemingly tiny, but you know, sometimes big things here and there that she's shared and given us like a glimpse into, and then being potentially like pushed further there. And what I think is the way she's responding and saying like, no, you guys have done this, you guys have done that, like you've pushed me this way or pushed me that way, and seeing it as like being attacked, which I absolutely understand how like that can be overwhelming and feel like that. Of course, absolutely, I get you. But I really like the way she's saying like the woke mob. Unfortunately, that really makes me think that she is, you know, blaming people for calling out those certain things, and then therefore villainizing those people for calling her out, and, you know, kind of, I don't want to say using blanket statements, but, you know, grouping all those people together. And that's not right. That's not okay. Like, no. And then this one says, not acknowledging liking the video, showing the signs, not acknowledging liking RFK posts, not acknowledging the co-op's mission statement, not mentioning her health misinformation, just deflection and hyperbole. Disappointing, but not surprising. Literally this entire video summed up in one comment. That was very well done. Another person said, I see your likes on RFK Jr., Trump, etc. all over IG. You may not be anti-LGBT plus, but the people you support are. And she said, I don't support Trump, like his posts, or have liked a single thing supporting RFK or Trump. The only posts on IG I like are those calling them out. Show me my support for MAGA because it doesn't exist. And I find that so interesting because it's like even I've liked posts before of like journalists that are like like independent journalists or whatever, that are like covering these people. And I'm just like, this is fascinating. Boop. Or just, you know, doom scrolling and but that's interesting because she's like so staunchly like, I've never done that. But yet here's a screenshot of her liking a post from this guy that she still follows, who seems like his followers were not very happy that he was with the frog man. And she did like that post. So again, it could literally just be because like your kid's on your phone or something, and or like you have it in your hand and you're like running around and, you know, you accidentally like something. That has happened to me before. So I get that, but that's very specific. Another person said this video was so manipulative. Wow. One person said, is it okay to say, I don't believe you? And another one said, literally. And someone said, is it okay for others to have other beliefs, or is your way the only way to think? Typically, I would, from a very general sense, agree with that statement. It's okay if you read the Quran, if you're Muslim, if you like a Mohammed, dare I say, or it's okay if you don't believe in the New Testament, or if you have other beliefs or whatever. Like, okay, go for it. Or if you do like yourself some Jesus, I don't fucking care. Do whatever you want. Just make sure everyone's consenting and you're not hurting anyone, and that includes yourself too. Okay? Thanks. But her liking that, giving this context, is gross. Listen, let me know in the comments below if, like, with this context applied, is that gross, or is it still like not a big deal? I don't know, man. It's a lot, and I don't like it. And another person said, is it okay for people to have beliefs that are hateful towards the people that support them? And that's a huge point of this, is a lot of people will say like, okay, well, I don't care, what this content creator does like in their personal life, or who they vote for, or like what religion they whatever, right? Their personal beliefs. But the thing is for a lot of people, that is really important, because your views, your digital currency, so to speak, is what is supporting this person and paying their bills. And now if that person is not a political commentator, and you're literally watching them like time lapses of them doing like woodworking projects, or I don't know, cleaning, or talking shit on the internet, then okay, maybe again, you can separate the art from the artist, whatever. And I get that aspect, but for a lot of people, it's like, no, I don't want to support your content because, you're like things that you actively vote for or whatever, or vote in favor of, like hurt me, and that's okay if that's something that you are adamant about. Love that for you. Go for it. To a certain extent, same as well. And like, for instance, I unsubscribed from Kristi after the whole James Charles situation, because I was like, that seems really hypocritical and I don't like that. And I absolutely don't believe that she was like, I just didn't know. What? So yeah, I think that that's a very good point as well. And someone said, belief isn't truth. So yes, it's perfectly fine to say that you may not believe. What isn't okay is to ignore the truth. Wild. And Kristi said, I've made it abundantly clear that I stand with the LGBTQIA community and support trans rights. Whether you choose to believe me is up to you. And sure, yes, great statement. It would have been way better is if you said that not in a comment section, not a year later. If you just said, you could have just made such a short video, and it could have been a more serious video instead of you calling people crazy and making a joke that you're the head of a cult. Again, she could have just been speaking in a hyperbolic manner, but I didn't see anything like that. I did not, like, it's so extreme. And just because I didn't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Like, believe me, people make really crazy claims, like saying my husband's a nice collaborator because he is in law enforcement. It's like, no, he's in charge of charities. What are you talking about? So this person said, none of these comments are really even that hateful. Some of them are a bit harsh. Sure, but a lot of them say, I hope this isn't true, or waiting for more proof. I do believe you when you say that there are a lot of people who took this narrative and just ran far with it. People lost the plot for sure. That stuff is gross. I can't bring myself to understand why you would make this video now. Also, liking comments mocking the party of peace and love idea isn't really helping your case. Yikes. You yourself are perpetuating division with those comments, aka not any better than those haters that you're calling out. This isn't specific to political ideology. People are hateful in all corners of the world, no matter what. Absolutely, Oprah. Yeah. 100%. That's like, I've made fun of the like alt-right and like the super spooky people and the is alt left, bitch. I don't even know what they're called. I'm so scared. I'm more scared of them. Way more scared of them. I'm scared of everybody. I'm scared right now. So why didn't you just address it then when the iron was hot? Making this video now seems disingenuous and a ploy for views. I wouldn't say a ploy for views, but a ploy to alter people's views and to control the narrative. I'm not convinced by your explanation, because you wouldn't be making this video now if you didn't want it to ramp up again. And And trust, people had forgotten. But again, she said at the beginning of the video that there's like this big article coming out, which I don't know, just it seems so poorly approached. And then they continue and said, not surprised about the TikTok comments. Those comment sections are the trenches. If I were you, I would learn to separate criticism and hate when it comes to those other comments though. 100%. And someone said in her Instagram, because she made a like cut up the video and made like a short form of it crazy. And this person said, look, here's the reason why people believed those narratives. And it's because you had absolutely nothing to say about the political situation in the US until you got on YouTube and shamed people for not being sad. A bigot who twisted the word of God to incite hatred was killed. You had absolutely nothing to say until it came to making us feel bad because marginalized communities didn't mourn someone who benefited from furthering the marginalization and oppression and were relieved that another mouthpiece for hatred was quieted. This person sounds so smart. Unlike everyone in this comment section, I'm not going to kiss your ass and call it ice cream. That's beautiful. People believed it because your actions beyond this one event. Like I said in my video, not because drama channels told them to believe it. I followed you for years, but I have zero interest in engaging with content from anyone who feels they are the victim and seemingly refuses to understand why people were so ready to believe you're sliding into the alt-right pipeline. I completely agree with that. Yeah. Now, one that I want to end it on is this says, maybe drama channels wouldn't have listened, but previous supporters were desperate for you to denounce it at the time. And 143 at the time I took that screenshot, people liked it. And she said, I couldn't. No, you could. You absolutely could have. You just wouldn't. I could appease the 250 people who were genuine in wanting a response while subjecting the families to doxing and harassment. Nah, doesn't make any sense. So people could feel vindicated in my beliefs. So people could feel vindicated in your beliefs. Interesting. 0% could or would allow that to happen. The kids and families didn't deserve that. So a bunch of supporters could see whether they believed the drama or not. I had to make a call and I made the right one. I strongly disagree with how this is going for you because no, you didn't make the right one at all. Once that started picking up a lot of traction within the first 2 weeks of July, because it was July 4th, you absolutely should have made a statement. 100%. And you can say all day long, like, oh, I didn't see it or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, even supporters of yours or even your moderators on your channel members or whoever, like they be sending you stuff. They be asking you. And it doesn't matter if it's, I could appease the 250 people. Why is it 250? That doesn't make sense. Who were genuinely wanting a response. How do you know who wanted a response? I wanted a response. Multiple huge creators who are much larger than you, Kristi, wanted a response too. Gay creators who have supported you and really enjoyed your content. And then including myself, which I'm not, obviously my channel's not bigger than hers, but like, come on. This silence, that was the worst thing you could have done. Absolutely worst thing you could have done. But again, I think it's because she is maybe just not understanding and oblivious to this, but maybe she is, again, just cherry picking and seeing it as like, it's just the sign at the like at this, parade and that's it. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. My video had hardly anything to do with that. It's the lead up to it. Everything else. It's like, are you anti-vax? I honestly, if she like said that, I would probably unfollow her. Like, I probably would have unfollowed her right away if she's like, yes, I am anti-vax, which she probably is, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't want to state that because clearly I don't know. And again, it comes down to the sentiment that I shared before, that it's like, just because this and this and this is true doesn't mean that this is true. Okay. Bunny Hedaya on TikTok talks about that sometimes because like she homeschools her son and they live in Florida. Well, primarily here in Florida. And people always assume that like she's MAGA and like she is anti-vax. And she's like, no, I'm not at all. But again, if you actually, watch her content and, see all that paired with her speaking up about it, then you would know that that's not something that she stands by, right? So this is very multi-layered. I just find this very interesting. And at first I did like from a creator standpoint of like just at first glance, whatever, not even thinking too much of it. I was like, oh, I do like the way you did this video, whatever. Like it was funny. But then I'm like, wait, actually, no, because again, I had forgotten everything else. Like that's how people can really alter history with things that happen on the internet. Like, no, it's not just a sign. parade. It's all of these other things that point to this gradual descent that people are worried about.
I'm thankful this happened, actually. I'm thankful in so many ways, and I'll get into that in a second, because I learned through this that if I see it online, probably not true, and use discernment, and don't just immediately jump to conclusions. Drama channels, you guys don't understand. You're being manipulated. They are not telling the truth. And they're going to take this and they're going to be like, well, then you tell me the truth. No, we don't negotiate with terrorists. They sit around and they rile up the crowd and they get everybody pissed and they make the situation something that it never was. You align me with it. I didn't align myself with it. You aligned me with it. That same drama channel got me on the phone and manipulated the entire conversation, took everything I said, straight up lied. Everything lie. And I know for the Reddit group, because they're the scourge of the internet, that feels good. It feels good to bring other people down. Like watching a cancellation is like, oh my God, look at all this. Look, she's lost 100,000 subscribers. Oh, and let's get her to lose all her sponsors. Let's contact every sponsor that she's ever had and tell them that she hates the gays. Let's do that. That's where their enjoyment comes from. And then on the other side is me having stress diarrhea for 6 months, then having to do double therapy and having to vomit every day from anxiety and losing all my financial backing and losing all my sponsors for doing nothing. For being in a parade, for offering my house to children who needed a place to have a school. Everybody hates Reddit. Nobody likes Reddit. I've never met one person that's like, oh my God, I love Reddit. No, they all hate it. We all hate you. I'm actually so glad I didn't respond, because I did. I filmed multiple videos back then. I filmed a video in July right after it happened. I filmed a video in August. I filmed a video in September. And I'm so glad that I didn't post those, because I wasn't able to smile. I wasn't able to laugh. I wasn't able to reflect and notice how this was actually has benefited me so much. I feel alive. I feel free.
So I actually finished filming this video already, and I was just re-watching her video again for the third time and doing like timestamps in my my video outline and just watching it again. There's a lot of it that doesn't sit well with me, obviously, but I do just want to reiterate, I don't think necessarily that Kristi is homophobic or transphobic or anything like that. I don't necessarily believe that. I do think though that, like I said in my previous video, the one I filmed last year about the medical misinformation, conspiracy theory type of homeschooling, like pipeline to those alt-right ideologies. It's just a better way to put it than, diving deep into that again. I do think like she could have been somewhere in the spectrum or, slide, the curly Q slide of that. And so I do just want to say that again, but also something that she said just really didn't sit well with me. And I don't want to take it personally, but she included my thumbnail in the video. And you could see on the screenshot of the thumbnail that she included, there was the little red bar showing that she did watch it at least once, a fourth of the way through. And I just find that so interesting, because it's like, girl, if you did watch it, then, and again, she might be talking about other people. I don't really watch drama channels. I watch more so commentary, video essays, or long form podcasts, and more comedy content, and then play mobile games on my phone and play on my Switch, right? Do Animal Crossing. So these bugs ain't gonna catch themselves. But I just really don't like how at the end of this video, really not even the end, it's the middle to end, where she said that she's thankful that this happened, which, okay, great. This was something that helped her get thicker skin for this job and for this industry, and that's wonderful. I know personally, I'm happy that sometimes I'm a little wavy. Sometimes I waver a bit with that, but a little bit more sensitive sometimes, but I'm very happy that she, has thicker skin now with all of this. That's great. That's a positive. But also she's saying that drama channels are not telling you the truth. And then she called drama channels terrorists. Any of the videos that I watched of Peter Mon talking about her, it's opinion based. Peter, I guess, yeah, you could call Peter more so drama channel, and it really is more opinion based. And that's really, I personally think, I guess you can let me know in the comments below what you think the difference there would be between like the classification of, or the label rather, of drama channel versus commentary channel. I feel like commentary is, you know, more like deep dive content and less so reactionary, which yeah, I mean, I react to stuff, like I want to include the context, right? So you can see it. And sometimes you'll like see me reacting, I guess. But I guess I'm stuck on the fact that like she included me in that video. And I really don't like that, because it's like, that's not what I didn't say that she is transphobic or homophobic or any of the phobics or anything like that. I was approaching it the same way that the journalist that contacted her was, like with that entire like premise of that like very slippery slope and how it's easy to like make that slow transition and that descent into that dangerous ideology from stuff that seemingly like is like normal or like feels good or whatever. Either way though, I do just want to say I wish the best for Kristi. I hope that her channel gets back to what it was. I was just looking at her views, and her like more commentary videos do much better than any of the other content that she posts. And it really seems like over the last year, her views are like quite down for a channel having over 1 million. It's interesting. It's like the videos she's posting are getting like the same amount of views that mine do. Again, obviously different genres, commentary, and then she does beauty and commentary. I've always said she should switch to like full on to commentary as well. But I wish the best for her. I hope that she's able to see like a resurgence in her channel and, you know, get past this. But I don't necessarily like the, you know, feeding into that, like, I don't want to say playing the victim, but cherry picking like the narrative and saying that really just lumping me in with like drama channels and saying that people are like manipulating you and like they're all lying about you. And it's like, that's not true. I have a love-hate relationship with Reddit. I don't like the stupid lies that people will spread about me on there and the misinformation. I get it. I fucking hate that too. But also you can't just lump everyone in under like, it's all lies, like you're the worst, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how did you get that out of my video? I think that's the part I'm stuck on. Anyways, I wish the best for her. I do just want to make it clear. I don't think that she is transphobic or homophobic. My point of this video was, hey, I think you handled this very, very poorly back then and currently, like right now, and then going over like specific things that she said and going back and forth and just really covering the entire situation. And then my point back then was to lay out that, you know, gradual descent into that dangerous ideology and how if you take a step back, all of these other factors are the reason why people believed the rumors that you did not even try to dispel. So there we go. That's it. Now we can continue to the outro and a little bit of a Wiggum cam. So anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you had a good time and I hope you understand that your butt looks so good. Oh my God. I had someone comment and they were like, Chelsea, you've lied to me. You told me that my butt looks good. And I just looked in the mirror and hate to tell you this, it doesn't. And my response was, are you going to believe me or your lying ass eyes? I don't know, man. None of my business, but your cheeks, with your consent, I would jiggle them. Only with your consent. And if it was like appropriate. Not at my birthday dinner. Anyways, call back. Oh, R.I.P. Tati Westbrook. You would have hated this. She's still alive. Don't get scared. Okay, so remember how valuable you are. Whatever you've done today, even if you like really fucked up at work or like or you're real sick or, you know, something is 100% your fault. I hope that you know that I'm proud of you for just breathing, basically. Very proud of you. Look at the things that this is something I like to do to like, you know, gratitude moments, especially on like Monday mornings. And sometimes I'll do it midweek too. List out like a bunch of the random shit that you are grateful for. You can even do it in the comments below if you'd like. So leave in the comments below things that you are grateful for. And it can literally be the most obscure things. I love, like, obviously, like, yes, the real big things. Great, cool, boring. But for instance, like the way the natural light comes into my office and like this window right here, like I love just being able to look out and see like the clusia and like the palms I have out there and just like the like winds like blowing in them. And then even with my son this weekend, like I'm so thankful for being able to, even that we were able to have him. I know that's a bigger thing, but just how funny he is. I refused to go down for a nap yesterday and I was trying to take a nap, but that was not going to happen if it didn't happen for him. So my husband like brought him into our bedroom. And of course, Wiggum's in there because that's my sidekick, my shadow. He's always with me. And I got out of bed and my son goes, Wiggum, come. come. And this is him trying to snap. And it's so funny. And me and my husband, Tony, were just dying laughing. Wiggum, you don't need to get up. You can lay back down. He's like, where are we going? So just like little moments like that, like I was just like looking at each other and like dying laughing about just random shit that our son does. And it's just little moments that I'm just so grateful for. And obviously for my channel too. We actually last night just hit 194,000 subscribers. We're almost to this year's goal of 200,000 subscribers. So I'm very thankful for that as well. And for y'all in the comments who can like be, you know, silly, goofy, drag queen humor. There's some gay in those comments. There's some gay afoot. There's some gay in the room with us. I love it. But then also like when y'all are able to, you know, get the vibe of like that, like silly, goofy, funny aspects of some videos, but then also in those same videos, there are serious aspects too. And y'all are able to have like nuanced and logical conversations a lot of times. And even when some people actually had a conversation like this over the weekend in the comment section, someone was a little quick to, you know, I don't want to say be offended, but they were leading with emotion in the conversation. And I replied and said something and I yelled at them. Just kidding. I didn't. But I, you know, it came back to them and I explained something and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for explaining this, blah, blah. Like, I really appreciate you, you know, coming in, being nice and like taking the moment to like, you know, actually, you know, conversate. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. So thank you. Thank you for checking in on me and just, you know, not being just like total pieces of shit, right? Anyways, Wiggum wants to go lay outside in the grass. So I'm going to go do that with him. I'm actually going to do a Wiggum cam for y'all, like I promised. And I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to clip one of my lapel mics to him or just hold it up to him so you can hear something of him. Okay, enough of the pep talk. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Try to be grateful for the little tiny things and actually notice those and take those in. I find that really helps me when I get anxious and overwhelmed and stuff like that. So love you. Your butt looks good. Stay spicy, stay assertive, stay feral if you want. You can get the feral dad hats, the embroidered ones at CCSUAREZ.com. And I'll see you in my next video. Okay, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.